Hi guys, welcome back to today's episode. Today we're going to be talking about a trip to Japan. So specifically Maruf, we have a guest today, and it was his trip to Japan when he was put on placement. So we're going to be talking about that today. So Tasnim, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yes. Well, Maruf, it's great to have you here. So I think we're going to kick off just by asking, how was Japan? How was it as a country?
Yeah, it's very different, you know. It's quite tough to articulate. Part of it you have to be there to tell for yourself. But yeah, a lot of the things are similar to UK. Like it's very economically developed, but it's just different, you know. Not in a bad way, not in a good way. It's just overall different. The way people behave in public and the overall vibe, I suppose.
Different, yeah. How was it like being away from your family, especially being in a pandemic? How was that? Because I can imagine it must have been quite stressful.
Yeah, well, just to put into more context, the reason why I went to Japan is because I went on placement for my master's degree. So I'm doing a master's in physics, and it's an integrated undergraduate degree. So I went on placement for 10 months, and most of the time, of course, I'm going to be working effectively. So I would say that the nature of the work that I was doing was very busy. So I was always doing something. So as a result, it wasn't really, I didn't feel too homesick. Obviously, there were moments like during the weekend when I was doing nothing, where you have that realization, like, I'm on the other side of the world, away from my family. And it takes a while to process that. And then eventually I just accepted that and I enjoyed my time. The pandemic situation is a very interesting with Japan because, so I went to Japan with one of my course mates. There was two of us, which made it a bit easier because when we both moved in, we were able to help each other, like settle in and assimilate into the society. Overall, I don't know exactly like how to explain the regulations and all of that, but with the pandemic, it was a lot more relaxed. And I think it's because Japan, they took it more seriously, more earlier on. So in general, from what I understand, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of Japanese society, a lot of the people, they follow the rules quite well. And a lot of the times, wearing face masks and stuff like that, they've done it before and it's kind of normal, similar to other East Asian countries like Japan, like China. So overall, it was a lot easier for me and I didn't feel the impact of the pandemic as much as I felt coming back to UK.
Were you working in quarantine once you got there?
So with regards to the quarantine and stuff, there was a period of time earlier on in 2020, so about April time, early May, we had to do telework, what was known as telework, where we worked at home. That was only for about 1 month or 1.5 months. And after the government gave permission, myself and my course mate, we were allowed to actually go back and work in the labs on campus later on. So the working at home and the quarantine stuff was actually quite short. Most of the time I was still going out and some shops were closed, but most things were still open. So I was very lucky.
Yeah. I was just going to add, just because obviously you did go at a time when it was a pandemic, did you still get to experience like the Japanese lifestyle, like to its fullest, I would say?
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Of course, I'd say I wasn't able to live it to the fullest, but I was definitely able to live it to the majority of the percentage, like maybe let's say 70 or 80%. The only thing I missed out on was like, the really public stuff, like festivals and this type of traditional stuff. I missed out on all of that. But I could still go to, I could go to all the types of shops, and a lot of the tourist destinations are like shrines and Buddhist temples, and a lot of the nature as well. All of that was open, except from the really, really big ones. So the really popular ones were closed, but some of the less known ones that were less busy, a lot of them were actually open. So I was able to most of quite a lot, considering the circumstance.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah, it must have been exciting being in a different country. What were some of your favorite things to do in Japan?
I would say one of my favorite things to do was going to the arcade. So there's one place in Tokyo that's the most famous for the gaming, and it's called Akihabara or Akiba. And they just have loads of gaming arcades, loads of video games, very fun. That was on one side in Tokyo, and then on the other side, the countries separate into prefectures, so they're like different cities. I actually lived in a prefecture called Saitama, but that was right next to Tokyo. So Tokyo was like 25 minutes away from me. So on my right was Tokyo with all the big shops and the buildings and all the facilities. On my left was the rest of Saitama. Saitama is more known for that. So I'd go out, actually just, I would go on Google and just search up like a well-known mountain. And then I would just travel out to Saitama and then do some hiking. And that was very nice as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good to hear. I was just gonna ask, how did you, was there like a significant problem when it came to like communication and language barrier and stuff? Or did you have like some sort of knowledge of Japanese languages and to communicate basic things?
So the important thing with the communication is you have to realize where I was working. So I was working in, I would say, the most famous scientific institution in Japan.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
It's like the CERN of Japan, and it's called Riken, or some people call it Riken. And institutions, it's a big international groups working. So it's sort of like a rule that the language that most people use to communicate, or everyone should be communicating in English.
Okay.
Japanese people would be communicating with other Japanese people in Japanese, unless there's an English speaker present. But if there are English people, then everyone tries to speak English to the best of their ability. So with regards to work, I basically didn't need to learn Japanese because I was communicating in English. However, if I wanted to travel, so that's based on how far I want to push it. Yes, it would be a big problem with language. If you want to actually go somewhere quite far out, or you want to buy something, or just place. And so I had to learn words and phrases.
Yeah.
I learned enough, like just enough, basically get me wherever I want to go. So it's like asking, where is this place? How much is this? That was good enough for me.
Yeah, talking about learning new languages, what other skills do you think that you've learned? How do you think that you've developed personally through living on your own, living in another country, away from home, away from your family? How do you think you've developed personally?
It's a tough question. I mean, I would say, adding on to the language part, I did learn that a better how to improve my communication. The thing that I realized is that it might seem like common sense, but language isn't the only thing that contributes to communication. So one thing I did realize one thing I did learn was the body language. So I was able to read the Japanese people, the natives, their body language whenever they tried to communicate with me. If I didn't actually understand what they were saying, I could see their hand gestures and their body language, and then I could just see what they're trying to say. And a lot of the times, even though I was quiet because I didn't respond with language, they assumed that I understood them because I basically read their language. I read their body language correctly. So my intuition get me to communicate.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Other than that, I would also say on the other side, spending a lot of time, I wouldn't say I gained specific skills, though I did improve my independent, how do I say, my ability to research independently, because that's what my job was. My job was working in a science department. So as an academic researcher, my academic researching skills has improved. So with regards to that side, like I've gotten better in terms of academics. And then there's also the communication side. So on a third side, I suppose specific skill, but I did gain a lot more insight into myself just by self-reflection. Because when you spend a long time alone, you get more time and you get more chances to question things that you never really thought about before, or you never really confronted before.
Yeah.
That's quite an eye-opening thing.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. How did you help manage, as in mental health wise? How did you help to just coping mechanisms, just in a general topic while you were out there?
Sure. So one of the things I already mentioned, I never expected myself to do this, but I remember I went on a hike with the volunteers to Mount Snowdon a while ago. And then I thought, Japan is actually known for having quite a few beautiful mountains and a lot of hiking destinations. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. And so I just searched on Google all these different mountains and which ones were safe, which ones were beginner friendly. And I actually just went out, traveled to the destination, and then I just hiked up a mountain to the top and then come back down. That helped a lot with coping. I would say after 5 days of working and getting stressed out from my placement, on a Saturday morning, the schedule would go something like traveling to a mountain, going all the way up, coming all the way back down, traveling a few other places, coming back home, in the evening, and just playing on my Nintendo Switch. I bought a lot of video games as well. Japan's known for video games, so quite cheap there. So the hiking is a big thing. Also, a lot of the times during the hike, when you walk alone for extended periods of time, sometimes a thought pops up and you think, wow, I need to write this down somewhere. So I'll just make notes on my phone. And that's a big thing. And the second, I would say more important would be having a journal. So I bought this Japanese diary, and then I basically just wrote down all my thoughts whenever I needed to process uncomfortable emotions.
Wow, that's really nice.
That is really
a good idea, just in general to keep.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, would you be going back to Japan?
I would love to go back. I mean, right now, I'm currently in the process of trying to apply for a PhD in Tokyo.
Wow.
So I'm currently in my last semester. So effectively in July this year, if all things go well and I actually pass, then I'll graduate with a master's in physics. And then the next progression, the next step for me would be a PhD. So I got into contact with some professors and some researchers at the University of Tokyo. And it's a long process. it's quite tough as well, but if I'm lucky and if I put in enough work and enough grinding, I do hope to go back, definitely. I feel like my experience there in Japan, I didn't get to finish everything that I wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you like to go back past, like, once the global pandemic kind of calmed down a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were there, despite there being a lot of things to do, I was working a lot of the time as well. And also, a lot of big things were closed.
Yeah.
That I didn't want to go to.
Yeah.
Some very unique museums here and there. You can only find in Japan. I definitely want to go back to go there. And yeah, there's quite a few other reasons as well.
Wicked. That was really nice to hear. I'm just going to bring it to an end here. I think that was a really good session and really nice to hear about your experiences in Japan. It's actually made me quite curious to go visit Japan myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, that's
but yeah.
your experience.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on the episode today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Maruf. Thank you. And we wish you the best of luck with your next steps.
Yes, with your next steps.
Hope you get that PhD in Tokyo and you get to experience Japan properly this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're going to call it to an end. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.